Welcome back to the Red Slayer Rides. I'm your host Connor, and in today's video I will be doing a list on the top 10 coaster layouts that I have been on. This is of course all in my opinion because people diversify on what a good layout is. For this video, what I will be counting as a good layout is a layout that is unique and is not repetitive over and over again. So you won't see B&M loopers on here or hyper coasters because it's airtime hill after airtime hill. And unfortunately, what is known as one of the greatest layouts of all time, El Toro, will not be on here because it's a repetitive layout, very repetitive layout. But that does not take away from it being a fantastic ride. Now, I have done this list before. I did it a long time ago in the very early stages of the channel, so I didn't know what I was doing. But I thought, I'm about to go make a lot of listing videos, so I thought this would be a good place to start. Revisiting this idea, and since I've been on like 80, anywhere in between like 80 to 100 new coasters since the last time I made that list. I don't know what my credit count was back then, but yeah, 80 to 100 in between there somewhere. Since the last time I made this list, yeah, it's changed quite a lot. Now that I'm looking at it, yeah, it's changed. Wow, okay. So, majority of the rides on here are new, but there are a few that return, and you will see that when we start the list, which is now. Number 10, Nemesis at Alton Towers. Now, I'm going to refrain from doing a lot of B&Ms because they're pretty repetitive, but Nemesis is a very, 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 very much an exception because Nemesis is dug into the ground. There's trenches. The inversions are not consecutive with one another. There's elements in between. For example, it's 40 feet tall. You drop into a corkscrew, then a really tight helix that pulls a lot of positive Gs, then into a 0G roll, turn around, loop, turn, corkscrew, brakes. There's something in between each of the inversions, unlike Afterburner Montu that just barrel right into a loop and an Immelman. But anyways, that doesn't take away from those two rides being good or bad. They're still both pretty good rides, but Nemesis in layout form has a better layout. And there are going to be coasters on here that I do not count as some of my favorites in the world. Well, I haven't been on a lot of them in the world. I shouldn't have said the world. But a lot of the ones that I've been on, these are not my favorites in any way. They're high on my rankings because layouts do something to those, but don't take this as a ranking list. Just don't. Okay, but on to the number 9 spot. We have Pantheon at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. The reason Pantheon is here is because the elements are, well, diverse, and they're different from one another. I can't remember how many inversions are on this ride. 2. Yeah. 2? 2. Yeah, there's 2 inversions on this ride. I can never remember that. There's a stall and a 0G winder. Unique elements. Well, the stall kind of unique, but it's a good stall, so I'm not complaining. The top hat beyond vertical drop, pretty good. The swing launch is really the only repetitive part, and the 2 kind of repetitive outer banked hills before the first part of the swing launch. But I don't really care. The backward spike adds enough uniqueness to this ride for me to really care. But this ride is overall good. It's unique. Yeah, I've already said all this. It's not repetitive. So, moving on. Number 8, Mind Blower at Fun Spot Kissimmee. Now, here's why I place Mind Blower over Pantheon. Because Mind Blower is a wooden coaster, kind of. Wooden coaster with an inversion. That's pretty unique. I mean, there's like, what, 3 of those? 4, maybe? Some low number. It's a low number. There's not a lot. But Mind Blower also has more to the layout. It has multiple very, very high high degree banked turns throughout the layout. Lots of short, poppy, quick airtime hills, and some more drawn out airtime hills. And it constantly is wrapping in and around itself. It's not a circle layout. It's also not a figure 8 layout. I don't really know what it is. It's just kind of a mess of track in a very small, tight space. And a very steep drop into a well, inversion. A corkscrew, kind of. Is it a corkscrew or zero G roll? I don't know. Mind blower. When it gets its new track, I'm sure it will jump up in my rankings because it's very rough, but it is well known that this does have a good layout, and for me, it's honestly one of the better layouts that I've been on. Actually, one of the best layouts I've been on, that's why it's on this list. Number 7, one that dropped a little bit since last time, Fury 325 at Carowinds. Now, it's not that I've liked this ride any less, because I haven't. Honestly, I might have enjoyed it even more than I have in the past, but Fury, I've realized that some other rides just have more of a kick to their layout than Fury does. Now, don't get me wrong, Fury still has a very, very, very good layout. Very diverse elements. The treble clef turnaround is oh so beautiful into the dive under the bridge. Beautiful, chef's kiss. But the first drop's great. Overbank, that's kind of weird, but not really. The quick, snappy transitions are very, very nice. They're not Intimidator 305 snappy transitions or anything, but they're snappy transitions for a B&M. But, Fury's great. The airtime hills at the end of the ride complement the very, very fast pace, quick pops of airtime in the first half, and overall it blends together to create one of the world's best roller coasters. Number 6, Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion. Now, what I was saying about Intimidator 305 snaps, that's unique to that ride. Maverick tries to do the snaps, but it can't do it like I-305 can. I-305 in the back row on, is it the first snap or the second snap? It's the second snap. On the second snap in the back row, whew, that's a breath taker. That is like, wow. In the airtime hills, actually, I found that last year they provided some airtime, and I'm going to be going back to King's Dominion with some friends, hopefully, and we'll see if it still provides airtime before I will never be able to ride this ride again because I'll be too tall. So sad. But the drop's great. That first turn is unique to this ride. That very, very low to the ground turn that then is no longer low to the ground because they had to reprofile it because it was too intense. And the intensity in general on this ride is very unique to it. But that's not a part of the layout. But the layout causes it. And again, snaps, oh so beautiful. The pacing, because it's so low to the ground, and the airtime hill is so floaty. It's just a really, really good layout. Number 5, another Intamin, Velocicoaster at Islands of Adventure. This has probably one of the most diverse in the world, because the first half is more calm. It's not calm, but it's more calm. 2 consecutive back-to-back inversions before a massive track, before hitting a second launch that zooms you up the top hat, over the top hat, that is not 90 degrees, by the way. I don't know why they did that, but it's not 90 degrees, into a second half that is honestly one of the best sequence of coaster elements ever. The stall, the wave turn, the overbank, the Mosasaurus roll, the outer bank, everything in that second half is oh so beautiful. And that's not a knock on the first half, because the first half is still really good. If Velocicoaster just had a first half plus the theming that it has in the first half, it would be a good ride. It would be good at Universal, but it would not be anything as close to what it is now because of the second half. Velocicoaster is a very special ride. You've heard everybody rave about it. I don't really need to keep on talking about it. Number 4 is the Smiler at Alton Towers. Now, you might be saying, this ride's very repetitive. Why, it is. It has 14 inversions, the most in the world, but that doesn't really matter because the inversions are very different. Did you know this ride doesn't include a singular vertical loop? Not one, but it does have 5 corkscrews. So, almost half of the elements are, wow, voice crack. Almost half of the elements are corkscrews, but that's whatever. There's also 2 airtime hills thrown in there that are very good, and they even made sure to diversify the lift hills. Like there's a vertical lift hill and a normal lift hill, and a pre-lift, which pre-lifts are not very common, so I appreciate when a ride has a pre-lift, especially a sort of lengthy pre-lift like the Smiler does. Not as lengthy as Saw the Ride, but lengthy enough. Inversion in the dark, oh so great. And the inversions on this ride in general are just good. There's a Sea Serpent roll, which there are like none of those. The Staffordshire Knot, which consists of a Batwing and a Cobra roll. Cobra rolls are fairly common. Batwings are not, however. And again, Sea Serpent roll, that's rare. And then 2 barrel down drops, not 1, 2, off of both of the lift hills, and yeah, 5 corkscrews. A lot of corkscrews. And an Immelman and a dive loop, just for good measure. Very good layout. Very, very, very well done keeping space on Alton Towers' part because this ride is crammed together. It is absolutely mesmerizing to watch because you're like, where is it going to come from next? Ooh, it popped out there. Ooh, it popped out there. It's literally a spaghetti bowl of track. Premiere wish they could do the spaghetti bowl like the Smiler can, but no. It will probably never happen again because Alton Towers is the only park ballsy enough to do it. Number 3, Maverick at Cedar Point. Now, there's no Steel Vengeance on this list. I'll go ahead and spoil that because, that ride's a little bit repetitive towards the end, so I got rid of it. But Maverick, its neighbor, which I still think is better, is on the list because Maverick has kind of a launch, the lift hill is kind of a launch, but then 95-degree drop, which is oh so beautiful in the back row. 2 Intimidator 305 like spikes, which try to be I-305 but fail, but they're still really good. An airtime hill that literally tries to kill you. A horseshoe roll, twisted horseshoe roll, sorry, which is, to my knowledge, a one-of-a-kind element. If there is another one, please correct me. And then a second launch to 73, what am I saying? 70 miles per hour in the dark, pop out. There used to be the predecessor to the Mosasaurus roll, but it didn't open with that because it was too intense. And then Intamin learned and put it on Velocicoaster instead. Good job, Intamin. And Maverick, it's a good ride. These elements flow very well together, and don't even get me started on the Stangle dives. How did I forget those? The Stangle dives are oh so beautiful. They are some of the best elements out there. They are incredible. And that's why I would like to shout out Copperhead Strike real quick, because that single dive on Copperhead Strike is oh so great as well, but Maverick just does it better. Maverick does everything Copperhead Strike tries to do, but better. So that's why Copperhead Strike's not on here, but honorable mention to that ride, because it is still pretty good. Lightning Rod at Dollywood is number 2, and it's here because its layout is it hits different. The quad down is one of the best sequence of elements of all time, and it's repetitive, I will not even lie, but the airtime hills are different. They're not just airtime hill, airtime hill, airtime hill like Twisted Timbers or Vengeance at the end. Nah, these are banked in different directions each and every time, twisting back and forth. In the back row, you get some Major League whiplash, and it is oh so very beautiful. The wave turns at the beginning of the ride are floaty. The valleys are intense. The wave turns are they're floaty. I don't know what else to say. They're floaty. They're just good. And then the launch lift hill, it's a wooden coaster. A launched lift hill on a wooden coaster has never been done before. Granted, I didn't ride this when it was a wooden coaster, but I don't really care. It still has that record of being the world's only launched wooden coaster. And now it's the world's only launched hybrid coaster. So it still has that to hold on to. But Lightning Rod is not the best RMC on this list. Actually, it's number 2 for a reason, because Iron Gwazi is number 1, and I firmly believe this has the best layout of any coaster I've been on. The wave turn over the station is probably top 2, top 3 best elements of all time. It is just so very good. The death roll is probably one of the most unique unique inversions that exist on coasters, because it's like you're diving down in a barrel roll. It's like a barrel roll drop on steroids. And so it is just oh so beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's just incredible. Everything about Gwazi's great. The top hat, kind of. It's kind of an Outer Bank top hat, but I don't really care. Again, wave turn over the station. The double up into the turn, the little chili dips at the end of the ride. It's great. That's why it's number 1 on this list. And that's why I think it will firmly stay number 1 for a long time, until I maybe ride Skyrush later this year and that changes it. Though Skyrush kind of has a repetitive layout, so it probably wouldn't even make this list. But thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. It's the first time I've uploaded in a while. I'll try and upload more. I know I always say that, but I hope I mean it this time, because schoolwork is draining. But until next time, I'll see y'all in the next video. Adios.